Good evening, everybody. Welcome to Lethal Sales. Tonight's topic is one that's near and dear to my heart. What's the dumbest mistake you've ever seen or you've ever seen somebody else do? And I'm going to buck tradition and go first tonight.
Yes,
What I
ma'am.
did wrong, I should have let the cops arrest me. I could have had the newspapers all over it. My brother would have started a GoFundMe to get me out of jail. It would have turned out differently, but I chickened out, and that is all. Now, over
Would
to
you like to
Larry.
explain further, good lady, or shall we leave it oblique?
Pardon me? Say that again.
Should we leave it oblique, or would you like to go further in your
No, that's
explanation?
it. That's my story. And
Okay.
I'm sticking to it.
Okay. Mr. Smith, would you like to go, and then I'll go, my good and great friend?
Well, thank you, Larry. So I've been in this business since 1982, and I can unequivocally say that I've made a lot of mistakes, a tremendous amount of mistakes. But there is one thing about a mistake. If you treat it as a mistake, it will be a mistake. But if you treat it as a life learning lesson, it's an education. And one exact example of that, and I'll make it very quickly. I was leading the country as a BMW salesperson in the late 90s. And I thought I could walk on water. And unfortunately, there's only one or two people in the history of the world that could actually do that. I wasn't one of them. And I had a customer that was a very good customer of mine, and I thought I could control him as a young or a late 20-something individual that was professional. Unfortunately, my professionalism lacked. I didn't call the guy back. He had bought multiple cars off me. I didn't call the guy back. When there was a challenge, I didn't call him back. I was too busy looking at other opportunities. I was too busy looking for the next greatest thing. And I let that relationship fail to the point where he actually contacted the OEM and the OEM contacted my boss. Even though that I tried talking my way out of it, I lost a career with BMW that I had worked so hard to obtain. It was the one and only time that I was fired from a position of sales in this industry. And that was taking me out as a top 10 individual. So no matter how big you are, no matter how good you are, you can always fail, but learn from those failures and move forward. That's my my biggest mistake that I ever did in this business.
I have a few thoughts before we can move to our erstwhile guests. Peter referenced someone who had walked on water, and at this vehement time when Jews are being attacked and Israel is under fire, I would like to remind everyone that biblical scholars have proven that Jesus was Jewish. The way they have done this is they realized that he lived at home till he was 33. His mother thought that he was God, and he thought his mother was a virgin. These are all evidence that he was a Jewish
Oh my
guy.
gosh.
I have a refrigerator magnet from the great Mario Andretti, and it says, if you're in full control, you're going too fast. So very quickly, I'm going to tell you the worst epic fails I think I've seen and my own personal mistakes. Obviously, everyone knows my political stances, and I've never seen an epic fail like what we're going through with our country right now, between the border and all the rest of the craziness. I also started my career with Cadillac, who for many years were trying to be the dumbest company on earth. Russell, I don't know how well you recall the 4100, the 6, the diesel, the 468, or their attempt to make a small luxury car with the Cimarron, but that was pretty ugly. And on a personal level, I constantly make the same mistake. I'm trying to correct it. I assume that the people that I invest in and put my heart and soul in will work as hard as me and be as true to my philosophies. What a dumb mistake on my part. I continue to make it. I'm trying to clean it up. In no specific order, because we have such a terrific group of guests, since we neglected to introduce Mr. Hill. Russell, would you like to tell us an epic fail?
No. So I just this has been a unique day. It's been a very busy day and one for a lot of reflection. Are we talking about the best and worst days? Is that it? Is it just to me?
We're just talking about mistakes we've made and things that we've seen.
I can tell you this. I haven't really shared this with too many, and I'm actually in the process of writing a book about it. I've been working on it for months now with the help of somebody who's helping me ghostwrite it. But the worst day of my life turned out to be the best day of my life, which was December 1st, 1994. That's an important date because that's when I had there's two kinds of people in the world. There's dream makers and dream takers. And prior to that date, I was a taker. And I just want to share a little bit, no great detail. I never even finished junior high, never went to high school. I've been in 7 treatment programs, 2 halfway houses, and spent 6.5 years locked up from substance abuse. I was a raving lunatic. Now, a lot of people don't understand. Why don't you just put it down? Why don't you just put it down? I was a career criminal. And then on one particular day, I was fixing to end my life. I had a knife in my hand, and I've always believed in God and always making deals, bargaining, right? And so I got down on my knees and I prayed, and I had what's called I think I just had a stroke or something. I was so high and drunk, it was unbelievable. And I had a very profound spiritual moment, a burning bush. Can't explain it. People try to I can't explain it, but I can tell you, I don't know if it was 10 minutes or half an hour, but unlike before, the obsession and craving and compulsion for drugs and alcohol, it was, I wasn't high anymore. I wasn't drunk anymore. And the obsession has been completely removed since that date. Now, it set me on a trajectory that an insatiable quest for reflecting, going all the way back to my earliest memories and figuring out where did all this go wrong? What happened? At that moment, I ceased fighting everybody and everything. We're talking a full, utter surrender, where when I listen to people today and they talk about, well, it's not my fault, it's so-and-so's fault, they're complaining about this and that. Those people aren't mature, they're not grown up, they're not adults, okay? I accepted everything in my life in that moment. Everything that ever happened, it wasn't anybody else. It wasn't the politics' fault, it wasn't the police fault, it wasn't my parents' fault, it was nothing. It was all me. I had created exactly where I got myself, and I set out to change my life. So in a few days here, I will have 29 years clean and sober, not a drink, not a shot of dope, nothing. And I have built amazing companies. Now, I'm not educated, but I am, I consider myself pretty savvy and street smart, but I figured out one rule in life more than anyone to create balance. And whatever I have, I can't keep it unless I give it away. And that's my short story.
Well, anybody that doesn't know Russell Hill the way I've grown to know him is one of the most uplifting people. So the lesson here is very clear. Man, you look in the mirror and you look at the bottom and you find a way to pull yourself up. And anybody that knows this guy, if he didn't tell you that story, you'd never guess it because he's so uplifting himself. I love it. Thank you so much for sharing it, my buddy.
Thank you.
Mike Larkin, another very positive, upbeat guy. Mike, tell us worst fail you've ever seen or you've ever done.
I got to follow Russell after that. That was epic, Russell. Jeez.
Thank you.
Wow.
I don't normally do that, but I share, I'm starting to share it more and more and more. People I'm really close to know that about me, or some piece of it anyway. Thank you, Mike. Thank you, Larry.
Well, no, it's Russell. It's so beautiful. It's the perfect counterbalance to my program, because here's a guy that's pulled himself out. And as Mike will tell you, I usually drive people to drink or drug by being so annoying.
Now I can see that, Larry.
Well, thank you. Look at this. He went from Billy Graham to being an attack dog. We quiet guys always get steamrolled. Go ahead, Michael.
Hey, back in 1982, that seems to be the year we're going back to.
Yeah.
I had joined a Irish football club. And if you've ever seen Irish football, it's a combination of soccer, it's a combination of basketball, it's a combination of like rugby, and it's 15 on 15. And I played the goalie because you know, I couldn't tell when they said, "Oh, full forward." What? Just put me in the goal. But we went to Ireland one year because we were New England champions, and I discovered a language barrier. So going back, my mom is from Ireland, and my buddies used to come up to me, "Man, your mom's off the boat. Like, what are you talking about? I don't hear it at all." When I went to Ireland, after the game, we had one side and the other side, and we'd go to a dance or whatever the town had prepared for us. And I remember one game where me and my buddy were chasing after two local girls, and the girls said to me and Chris, "Hey, we're going to go down to the corner store and get us some fags. We'll be right back." And I'm like,
so we're clear. Fags is British and Irish for cigarettes.
Right.
I'm already in trouble with the F and everybody else. I don't need Mike Larkin dragging me down. Go ahead.
But my friend Chris and I are looking at each other going, we might be here when you get back. We're going to go into the pub. So that was one thing. The other thing was we used to go and drive into these cities with two American flags. We were looking like we're invading. And the kids on the walls as we passed by were doing this. And I see it on social media all the time. I'm like, this, and we would go, "Hey, yeah, peace, peace." No, this means another thing. And I'm not going to tell you on this show.
I didn't know that.
Read between the lines. That's what it means in Irish.
Oh.
It's like, no. They're not saying peace, guys. So, you know, I mean, we don't understand each other like we speak the same language, but we're speaking a different language, and that can get confusing and bring up some kind of mistakes. One final story: we used to invite kids that went to college and played basketball, because the girls in Ireland could play. They were players, but you'd never seen a 7-foot Irishman before. That doesn't happen. So the girl that we had over, Jennifer Gray, she was at CVS buying supplies. And for some reason, I don't know, but I was there with her, and the school supplies were behind the register. And she's talking to the cashier, and she goes, "Yeah, I need a packet of pens, and I need a packet of pencils, the ones with the rubbers." Two ladies back, "Oh my God, these young people these days." Rubbers, she meant erasers.
Right.
But the language barrier. I'm like, oh shit, Jen. Oh my God.
So we're going to chalk Mike Larkin's fail up to epic lack of communication. We can identify that. Mr. Troy Shear, a gentleman not known for his failures, but I bet she's had one or two or seen one or two.
Oh, I've had plenty. I think my biggest one though was early on in my career of not learning or knowing I think one of my weaknesses probably is always seeing the best in everybody. My wife, not so much. She's as the one who is the street smart person who can just get that vibe of somebody who should not be, in this inner circle, so to speak. And I didn't listen to her, and it ended up costing me, us, because at the time we were both in business together. So it was when we first started out, and trying to put some faith into somebody I thought was going to be a decent, inner circle person to work with. And I should have listened to her, and she tells me, I'll tell you all the time, you should listen to me. But it's really is true. That was probably one of the biggest mistakes, because it costs us a lot of money up, in the beginning when you're trying to start a business and you lose a lot of money right up front. It's a killer. So that was something that took some time to kind of dig out of that hole. And I think had I, paid a little more attention and listened to her, we would have not had that problem. So
But you
it's
survived and you're still married and
yeah,
you're still at
absolutely.
home.
So I got to ask you, Troy, are you
learn
still
from your lessons?
are you still as naive and go? I still am. I'm very trusting. My wife is the opposite. And she'll tell me, I pick up on stuff too, but I believe in chances and certain things that indicate, but I'm still naive and gullible because I want to believe the best in people, and I get spanked a lot because of that.
I think that not as much. I have learned to kind of to catch it and again listen to her and take, because I'm like that. I just want to believe that. And I think it's one of those things when you know that, hey, if I tell you something or I say it, that it's the truth and this is how we're going to proceed, that not everybody is like that.
Right.
And I
So-
had another instance, though. It was actually kind of funny, where somebody even pulled the wool over her eyes, and she's like, she goes, what makes me the most mad about that is I liked him. He fooled me. I don't get fooled easy. But I think that's one of the things too, is, I learned is you've got to listen to other people around you. And, it's not a bad thing to see good in people. But, if other people are saying, hey, I get bad vibes or something like that, listen to them. I think that's the
But you
biggest
run
thing.
Troy, it's the risk you run. It's the Shakespeare line. It is better to have loved and lost than never to have loved.
Completely.
and
I just,
Boom.
I don't mind loving it. I just don't want to lose a bunch of money loving.
I'll go with that. We got one of my best buddies, Wendy Reeves, on. Wendy,
Wendy.
let's hear something where you saw something that was the Hindenburg or something you tripped over and you went, man,
Hey.
I'm sorry I ever did that.
Well, I don't know. When I read the topic, I was looking for something like in my career or in life. And Russell, if I ever decide to take a deep dive, I will blow every one of your socks right off your feet, and I'll blow the hats off your heads too if I ever talk about my past. Because I sowed oats for myself and probably 10 other people in my lifetime. And
Wait a minute. So between Wendy and Russell, it's the first time in my life I've been the normal person. This
Yeah,
is never going to happen.
I would venture to say, just listening to Wendy, there was a point in time, if you saw me, you would actually, when you looked at me, you would walk across the street to avoid me.
Oh,
No, it sounds like the way she's talking, she'd walk.
That's what I mean, right? Yeah.
not necessarily because I hit it well, but I had a good time. But I'm a car brat.
I thought I did too, but anyway, right. Yeah.
I'm a car brat, so it came with the territory. And I
True.
started to in automotive in August 1st of 82. But anyway, but instead, I'd like to reflect and I'd like to say, and I'll try to condense it. So I think if I had to put it in a little package, I would suggest that the biggest mistake I ever made was, for whatever reason, wasting too many years of my life with a victim mindset. Okay.
Well,
And I can't stand it. I mean, I'm the Winnie the Pooh to Fred's Eeyore, and you all know us that love us and love us anyway.
yeah.
But I'm a solutions for every single problem person. And there are those who are a problem for every solution person.
Yeah, amen.
And I'm blessed since COVID, I think, and people have told me, and since they say, oh, you're a good connector, but see, I was always after me. I was always looking for what I felt I had been denied all my life. And that said, I think God changed my mission when I lost my dad in 2012. My dad was my king, and he was automotive, and he was like, and he was my rock and my sanity. And when something was going wrong, like when my mom had a stroke and I was the only one helping her, he'd say, tell them all to go themselves and walk away. Right. So
Right.
anyway, that said, I went in a deep, dark hole when he died, and it took me 9 months to climb out. And I think God has blessed me with the ability to dismiss things like they say, fool me once, shame on you, fool me twice, shame on me. No, I let people fool me over and over and over again, because as soon as the wound heals, and I heal quickly, I'm ready. Okay, bring it. And I think that I look to, I don't even know, but there's some kind of, someone will say that if you're spiritual, they'll say it's the Holy Spirit or this or that or the other. But I think whomever you look to, for me, it's God, but I think he uses me as a, how do they call it? A vessel to bless others. So, and that said too, a lot of times, like, ask Fred, when things are going bad financially, however, I'm like, okay, God, or like a problem comes and I'm freaking out, I can like dismiss it in 5 minutes and like, you know what, that's okay. God will provide. So I believe in being thankful and grateful and helping others.
Amen.
And I wear I'm like Russell. I trust people too readily, and I wear my heart on my sleeve. People do not all have the same motivation. A lot of people out there are selfish, but I choose to keep my rose-colored glasses on
I love that.
and go forward anyway. And that's what
Hey,
I want.
Wen, we love you. Can we get Aaron in? He had his hand raised, and I know he's got to get back to the halfway house. So
I was actually clapping for Miss Wendy because I agreed a lot with what she said. I have a very similar story to Russell and Wendy in that aspect of I made a lot of mistakes when I was younger. I let a lot of problems get in my way. And I let it define me for a while. So I would love to continue and just listen to what Wendy was saying, but if you want me up next, I'd be more than happy to share as well.
we can always go back to Wendy. She's married to Santa Claus. This is going to have a happy ending. Trust me. Christmas is coming. Go ahead.
And first off, I got to say that Frederick's beard is among the best beards I've ever seen in my life. So, absolutely amazing, Frederick. I would say my biggest mistake is allowing my ego to get in the way, and I feel like a lot of us in sales do. What's funny is the company I'm working for now, I actually was working for when I first got back from Israel, and I joined a sales group, and I teamed up with these guys.
Let these people know which company you're working for, my brother.
Yes, sir. So I work for a company called Reputation Sensei. We do lead generation and reputation marketing for car dealerships, from franchises all the way down to independent. Yeah, no, I mean, I just let my ego get in the way. I was rocking and rolling over at Reputation Sensei, just kicking butt, taking names. I mean, I was gifted the name the Wolf, which is where that comes from. I like to call myself, the overall just rebuttal master. I mean, there is nothing that you can't throw my way that I won't throw back at you. So, when you're, 24 and, you're feeling yourself, and you just moved across the country and kicked butt over there and made a whole bunch of money, and then come back to the States. And then you're making even more money coming back to the States, and you didn't even know that was possible. I got in bed with these guys, and we started what's called a CGX and PGX. And it had to do with pretty much medical research and genome typing. And it was supposed to be completely revolutionary. And I still do think that it is completely revolutionary back in that time. But we teamed up with this guy. And at that time, I was completely sober and I wasn't doing anything. And, but because I had been on the other side of things, I was very trusting. He was in drugs. Pretty much, long story short, is I left the job that I was currently at in order to start a company with these guys. And we signed up so many doctors and practices, it wasn't even funny. And then the lab that we contracted through the buddy who was doing drugs at the time, turned out the lab got raided by the FBI, and all of my hard work after 6 months gone out the door. And I had left a company that had welcomed me in after I came back, from Israel, and didn't really have much credentials. I just had, the chops to be able to speak to people on the phone. And I mean, you either had to hang up on me or get a restraining order, or you weren't going to get me off the phone, or you had to sign. I mean, it was one of the three. And I was just a tenacious SOB, and I got that from Israel. Um, and you know what's funny is the story I was going to originally share was, the mistake I made was leaving something I had started, because back in the day I was doing acting and modeling and I was managing talent and setting up events. And I left that to go over to Israel and join the army over there and, make something of myself. And I left that industry too early, but it would have been also my greatest accomplishment because I learned all the skills that I have today over working for this binary company I worked for, that did Forex and binary options and everything like that. And, I learned how, Jewish, the chutzpah, the chazak, the strength, to sell. And oh man, I mean, I would make people cry. I would feed on their emotion and just make grown men cry over the phone and then give me their credit cards. And, I was very good at what I did. So again, the point being is, going back to the first story, is I let my ego get in the way and I left a job that I shouldn't have left. And I left a boss that, first started off as a boss, then became a mentor, and then became a friend, which is why I came back to the company, because my friend asked me, to come back and help rejuvenate his company and, pretty much generate some leads and generate some sales for them, which is what I've been doing over the last 6 months. I completely changed careers. I was in private investigations and executive protection. I've had a lot of careers. I mean, just like with most salespeople, where just ADHD will do anything to make money, especially if you're good at it. And but I let my ego get in the way, and I trusted people. Just like Mike was saying, just like everybody, Troy was saying, I was very trusting, and I let my ego get in the way, thinking my poop didn't stink, and I was the baddest SOB, on the phone, and I was. And I trusted the wrong people, and the feds raided the lab, and all the contracts we had worked so hard for just went out the window. And so yeah, so I would say,
but you wound up back where you started. So your two biblical allegories are simple: pride goeth before the fall, and the return of the prodigal son. So these stories are not so bad.
Well, and what's funny is I used to have long hair, so you could call me Jesus at one point, and I am half Latino, so you could call me Jesus. So, but yeah, absolutely, definitely pride and ego for us salespeople definitely gets in our own way sometimes, and it's good to have ego and it's good to have pride, but you just got to know when to kind of keep it in check. And that's been my greatest learning experience, to be honest. So even though it was my biggest mistake, it was also my greatest learning experience, and one of the things that has pushed me so hard in all the careers I've had, just to always be the best, but always to be the most humble too. I think a lot of people miss that. You got to be humble if you're going to be the best.
Cool.
So
Jeff, I'm sorry. Go ahead, Peter.
So basically, we're halfway through, and we've gotten some really, really great feedback on this. One is attention to detail. One is being naive. One is keeping our egos in check. One is understanding and listening and communicating fully. The overcoming our inner demons and releasing of the victim mindset. This has been absolutely fantastic so far. So I can't
Jeff
wait
Shearer, let's see what you got, my buddy. One of my best buddies, Jeff Shearer. Let's hear an epic fail or something you saw, and then maybe we'll hear from my good and great friend Frederick Thorne. Oh, we got Scott Trainer on too.
Looks like Jeff is in the Matrix.
Scott, we're talking tonight about epic fails. We've heard some pretty incredible stories of falling down and then redemption. Can you tell us a good story, Scott? We know recently you went through a pretty drastic career change where things were kind of oh wait, Jeff's off. Are you off the Matrix, Jeff?
Nope.
I guess he's not. Scott Trainer, do you have an epic fail you'd like to share? Something you witnessed or something you went through?
Yeah, well, can you hear me, guys? I'm driving.
Yeah, we can now.
Sorry. Can you hear me?
Go ahead, my buddy.
Yep.
Okay. Well, I mean, most of you guys are friends of mine and become very close friends of mine. So you guys know most of our story. Ari and I basically packed up our life and left Canada. We went all in on the USA venture. Similar to Aaron's story, we were maybe a bit too trusting, where we left too much in the control of the owners to dictate where our life is going. We put our blood, sweat, and tears. We built the company from nothing to what it was when we let it off. Unfortunately, the owners poorly managed. They got into some lawsuits back in Canada, and out of nowhere, they pulled the plug on having people at USA Motor Jobs in the States. So that completely devastated us. We put everything we had into moving down here. Luckily, we landed on our feet thanks to great friends we've made down here in the industry. A lot of people reached out, a lot of people tried to help, and we learned lessons. We trusted definitely too much. We trusted what they said, but we truly believed what was going to happen, but we should have been more cautious, obviously, looking back. But everything does happen for a reason. We did get sponsored by another company who actually the owner is Canadian, so Connect AI, which as of today is now ICOM AI. So we went through a whole new rebranding today because this company is financially viable. We just raised $5.5 million from Silverstone Partners over in Texas. So this company isn't going to be going away anytime soon. We're just going to be growing. They've really adopted both Ariana and I. They took us both on as a package, and actually that was part of the stipulation was they wanted both of us. They sponsored our visa, and they're doing everything they can to keep us down here. So it was definitely a trying year. I say year. That all happened within 3 months. So it was total and utter chaos and life for 3 months because our visas and our life down here in the States were tied to USA Motor Jobs. So we almost got deported, but we're still here and we're staying. So
Good for you, man.
Almost doesn't count, Scott. It only counts in horseshoes and hand grenades, man. You're here, you're with us, you're rocking. Did Jeff Shearer free up? Did you get out of the matrix, Jeff?
Can you hear me okay?
Yes.
We can now, my brother.
Okay. I'm mobile in my wife's car, so sorry for the connection in advance. But number one, Russell, thank you so much. I grew up myself in a alcoholic household and lost my mother on her 45th birthday. And I can appreciate your honesty and what you said. And Wendy, I'm going to tell a story that you'll relate to because it involves Wisconsin. So back in first of all, I grew up outside of Chicago, and the driving age in Illinois was 16, and the drinking age in Illinois was 21, but it was 18 in Wisconsin. So of course I had fake IDs, and we used to drive up to Wisconsin all the time. And when I first got my license, my father had a Larry like this 71 Pontiac Grand Prix. And
I had a
so, of course,
69 and SJ. Man, what a bear that car was. Whew.
So that was the car I learned to drive in. And in this particular instance, decided to take it up because I was a gearhead in high school. So I was part of that group. And so I decided to take the car up to Union Grove, Wisconsin, to the drag strip. And it was, you drag what you brung. And I had already been working on this car thinking I was going to inherit it from my dad. So I put headers on it, shift kit, and I had a bunch of stuff. It was a hopped up car. So going down the drag strip, I decided, well, I'm going to uncork the headers. So just unbolted them, moved them aside, bolted them back up, did about 3 runs down the drag strip. And then coming back on the return lane, went to shut the car off and it wouldn't shut off. Took the key out, car still running. Ended up having to pull the coil wire to get the engine to shut off. And then, of course, I couldn't get it restarted. And found out later that we fried the battery cable going to the starter. So there was no starting the car. So I had to leave it there and go home that night, wake up my dad and tell him, Dad, I broke the car at the drag strip in the middle of the night. And luckily his business partner was a drag racer. So he laughed about it. So my dad didn't crucify me. But that was probably one of the dumbest things I ever did as a kid. And anyway, but that's my story.
Thanks. For
But if you can't do dumb things when you're a kid, when the hell are you going to do them?
Well, ask my wife. She says daily.
Yeah, I got you. Fred, let's hear something good, my buddy. It's the button on the bottom, Fred. That little red thing.
Okay, get into it there.
There you
Guys,
go, my brother.
Been trying to get on my computer, but I can't do it. I have to have Wendy look at it for me. So I'm talking on my little phone down here in the dark. Now, anyways, guys, like I say I'm new to this stuff, and I am kind of, because I met Wendy like 5 years ago, and met her online. People ask us, where we met at, as well as this Christian porno site. No, I'm joking. Anyways,
Hey, Wendy, see what happens when he hangs with me for a couple of days? He's a changed man.
Wendy's going, shh.
oh boy, and I'm not even Jewish.
We tell people he was my Uber driver, but go ahead, honey.
Yeah, no, I was, yeah. Yeah, anyways, and I asked her, so what do you do? BDC, what the heck is that? She told me what it was. And I said, what? They pay you that kind of money for that? No wonder our cars are so expensive. But anyways, I've been a carpenter most of my life, adult life. Ran framing crews for 30 years, building houses, last probably 15 houses out here in Phoenix, Arizona. But that's why
I'm not on
staying.
video.
Hello?
No, I think Jeff was unmuted. Go ahead.
Okay.
Sorry.
Anyways, so I'm staying from the sun out here. My butt and my feet are white. But anyways, so hooked up with Wendy about 5 years ago. And we're still kicking. And I'm from Midwest also. Anybody don't know that? From the best water in the country. Flint, Michigan.
Oh, yes.
Okay, but I got married.
You talk about an epic fail. How'd you like to be that water commissioner?
Yeah, send me a bottle of that, would you?
There you go. But I got married at 19 and moved out here. Got out of that cold weather. And I got 3 gerbils. Daughters. They blessed me with five grandsons and 5 granddaughters.
And damn proud of it too.
Yeah. And praise God, they all live within 20 miles of me. But we don't get to see each other all the time. Everybody's schedule. And growing up, got 2 of the granddaughters in college. Yeah. But anyways, that's my story.
You're awesome, Fred, and you and Wendy are a phenomenal couple.
Well, thank you, Russell.
No question. Hey, Russell, we have our buddy, William Santos. William, I know you're coming over from Brazil. Can you hit your mute button off and let's hear your melodious tones? We'd love to hear from you. He was having audio problems before. We'll jump to somebody else. And if William can unmute, you jump in anytime you're comfortable, William. We would love to hear from you.
Larry, I think William is having the challenge with the language barrier from Portuguese to English.
Yes.
And he might be using a translator for this.
So I think last time he chatted, put some stuff in the chat or something.
Yes. So I'll just read quickly what he put out in the chat there. He says, when I was new to the CRM in the dealership sector, I remember that we launched a campaign for Toyota and we sent all the emails to a database that belonged to Nissan. It could cause a tremendous mix-up with the people from the automaker itself. To this day, I advise my team to double check who they're sending it to. Very true. It's
Hey,
so
Peter, maybe I could help translate for him. I mean, I understand what my wife's talking, and I'm not sure what language she's speaking half the time, but
Oh, shit.
somehow we seem to connect the dots.
Hi, Jennifer. How are you?
Doing well. How are you?
Jen,
Excellent.
we're tonight's show is epic fails you've made or you've seen. And successful as you've been and good as you are, there's got to be something that either you tripped over in the wrong spot or you saw that made you shake your head.
Oh, there's so many things. So many things. Oh my gosh. I think one of my there's so many. Oh my gosh, which to choose from. But one that was kind of funny that we were able to get turned around was NADA, my very first NADA, in charge of this big booth. Been working with a new vendor, got this whole really clever design going on, and all the exterior pieces of this big center tower were in Dominion red, or they're supposed to be Dominion red, which was kind of a deep red. I walk in like, I don't know, 2 days before they've been putting it up, and I just go in to check how things are going, and it's orange. I mean, the entire booth is not that pretty deep red. I'm like, I literally stopped, put my stuff down the hall, and I'm like, oh, what are you gonna do? And we were, no kidding, it was one of those, it was in Orlando, and there was this huge snowstorm going on, but they were able to get the amount of laminate needed to cover all but just a little sliver of it. So we were able to fix it in like 24 hours. It was unbelievable.
Well, that sounds like an epic save, not an epic fail.
Yeah.
You took a situation that, you know, the beauty of the whole purpose of this conversation is to show just when you think you're at the end of your tether and there's no shot, sometimes that's the point that brings us to our absolute best, to our epiphany. Amen. Because it forces us to look in the mirror. Russell said something beautiful earlier before you came in, Jen. Russell is the most stable, likable guy you ever meet. When he was young, he was beset by demons and addiction. And one day he looked in the mirror and he said, I don't want to die, I want to live, and I'm getting rid of this nonsense. But he had to look in the mirror. And the one thing he did that made sense is he didn't blame the whole world. He looked in the mirror. Can you imagine how many problems we'd solve if people would just look in the mirror instead of trying to cast blame and take a little bit of responsibility and accountability?
Yeah, agreed. Absolutely. Absolutely.
Jen, that's what I call, you are a pragmatic problem solver.
Sometimes.
Wendy's got her hand up.
Yeah, I just want to say that the phrase "we get by with a little help from our friends" comes to mind, because I think and Jen, that story is perfect, as you well know, because I think we are plagued by disappointment in many cases because we let impulse or spontaneity or things that are not within our control upset our mindset. And I think life is all about having the right mindset and the right perspective. Indeed. And especially post-COVID, when we're now allowed to be humans first and professionals second, I think it's most important for like-minded and like-hearted people to collaborate and share their blessings and lessons. And that's how we grow stronger together. And I think this room and all these testimonials are good proof of that. And that's all I wanted to throw in.
Well, friendship, how can you ever underestimate the strength of friendship? Plato said a friendship is one soul dwelling in two bodies.
May I share some good news with the group?
Jeff, is that you, my buddy?
It is. I'm sorry, but I found out at the beginning of this call while my wife was on her phone, and I'm going to be a grandfather. So,
well, that's great news.
Amen.
Mazel tov.
Exciting. Thank you.
So
Congratulations, Gramps.
So just quickly to recap what is being said and shared, and sometimes we might look at it as a challenge that we all face in these situations that we've all brought up as being negatives. We were at the lowest point of our lives. We've been financially struck. We've been out of work. We've had a challenge with a trade booth. We've had sending out emails to the entire database of a wrong client. We've done all kinds of things in life. Loss of jobs, loss of employment, loss of everything. But one of the things that we can take away from this, and the importance of this call, is that with everything, we can overcome it. The power of positivity will overcome everything. If you look at it in the right aspect, you can get by. It doesn't matter. You are breathing today. Lots of people aren't. So take that as your takeaway from everything, and you continue and you move forth with whatever it takes to get there. I saw a great post on LinkedIn yesterday, and it said it was basically a question at an interview. What is your best trait? And the person replied, reliability, because I'm there to get shit done. Whatever it takes, I am there to qualify and do it. You don't have to ask. I am there. I will be there before everyone. I will be there after everyone. It has to be done. I am there. That mindset, that positive mindset, many would look at it as a negative. That's a positive mindset for people to turn around and say, hey, this is what it takes. None of this entitlement crap. This is what it takes. We are there to succeed. We're there to move forward. I personally, I don't have to write articles every single night on topics about the car industry. I choose to do it because it is enlightening a lot of people in different areas that I don't even touch. I'll never touch, but they will get an idea that will perform an opportunity for their teams that will take them to that next sale, to that next opportunity. And that's why I do it. And I believe that we are all like mindset on this call. We share these messages, we engage in these messages, and we take our time to be involved in these messages. So
one of the things, Peter, one of the things that I always teach in my classes, which, as you know, jump from every letter of the alphabet, is at the end, I hit them with physics. And by now they're completely confused. How the hell did I get physics after I got philosophy on day one? And I always like to tell them that there's Sir Isaac Newton, the guy that discovered gravity, has two laws that'll make you rich. Things in motion tend to stay in motion. Things at rest tend to stay at rest. And for every action, there's an equal and opposite reaction. Because I believe everyone I've ever met, including the guy I look at when I look in the mirror, has been told or ordered to do something. It could have been your father, your mother, you could have been in the army, could have been your boss. And you curse under your breath, this sucks, I can't believe I have to do this. And then when you do it, you meet somebody or you learn something and you think, boy, am I glad I got pushed to do this. So I think if we look at things building on what Peter said as an attitude of gratitude, and we see everything as an opportunity, think how much more fun we have with our lives. You know, whatever the heck it is, it could be better. And I think we're all lucky on this call to feel that, hey, we've been through some bad things. All it's led us to is to better things. Funny story, we talked about my fun past. I was the life of the party, a friend from school. It was getting interesting there, Wendy.
Oh, just that an old friend asked another old friend, what the heck is Wendy Reeves up to after I left Milwaukee? And I don't know, I heard she became an evangelist or something. Because way back in COVID, it was every day with the memes and the good morning, beautiful people. And that's why I continue to say that, because you never know
Right.
who's watching and
right.
who you're impacting and who benefits from your positive mindset. And who was it yesterday that posted Kara Delane Harris? I'm probably
Yep.
butchering her name. Same thing. You never know who's watching, ladies and gents. We need to stay positive because there are those out there that need our help.
What happened to Kara?
And it's,
Oh, she was
no,
just
she
making
put a
comments.
positive post out.
Oh,
Yeah, she
And listen,
a gentleman gave her a compliment on her last day at a dealership, and it was basically that he had worked up the courage to come and give her the compliment, not knowing what the response would be, and with her positive response back to him, it made his day. So it was a very humbling post.
well, what's
Because there
interesting.
are
Go ahead, Peter. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you. I was going to
There-
say what's
there are those
interesting. Go, you go.
Okay, there are those people that have that fear, and they do not have that courage to go out and ask or talk or speak, and they don't know what the result will be. And it's that fear of the unknown that captures most of us in an area that we just can't get past.
But haven't we all discovered that sometimes the littlest thing, a compliment, a smile, can make such a difference to somebody that's really gone through a bad time or having a problem? Because sometimes we're insensitive to the fact that everybody's going through something. You know, everybody has something they're grappling with, or something that's bothering them, or somebody's ill, or somebody passed. And if we're responsive to these people and a little bit empathetic, we can light them up, and then in turn maybe they can light us up. Because what feels better than making somebody else have a better day, or
I'm telling you,
giving them a little sliver of hope?
I think next to breathing air, that people want to know that they count, they matter, they make a difference, and they're not alone.
Absolutely. I will say that, and that is so true, because when you get down to those deep hollows that Russell and I've been in the same hollow as Russell, that you just look for that one glimmer of light, and it's not a victim situation. It's not even an opportunity system. It is a visibility that you can actually now see. You can see clarity. You can see that transparency on moving forward within in an opportunity that you never saw before. It's not that the opportunity was given to you, it's that opportunity that is available for you to take, not to be given. So we look at it, and we move forward with positivity and a mindset that it is achievable, and everything is achievable. Go ahead.
Well, I believe the expression is you have to take the plank out of your eye before you can take the speck out of your neighbor's eye. And when we look at things as in an empathetic manner rather than in a judgmental manner, it's amazing how we look at people differently, and they in turn look at us differently.
Absolutely.
So
Absolutely.
let me tell you what I'm doing tomorrow. I just have to share this.
Sure.
I'm unplugging. All my kids and grandkids live within 9.5 minutes of us, and we're all going to this great, big, magnificent, huge, brand new water park called Kalahari. Has anybody ever heard of Kalahari? Well, that's where we're
I have
going to
not, Russell.
spend the day. And I mean, it's an amazing indoor water park. And that's what I'm going to do tomorrow. Kids and grandkids, I'm unplugging.
And
That's great.
and well deserved, Russell.
Folks, we've got a minute left. I can't tell you how much I appreciated having everybody share their epic fails, which turned out to be epic successes. Does anybody have any last thoughts or anything? As always, Peter and I and Rhonda can't tell you how much we appreciate you, your input, just having you as friends. Anybody have any last thoughts before we sign off? Oh, I have one thing. Excuse me. Rhonda said to me, Larry, do we want to do a show next week since it's so close to Thanksgiving? And since our show is so dependent on the kind people that share, what's everybody's feeling? Should we give it a break next week, or is everybody looking to vent before they have to sit around the TV screen with all their relatives so they don't like
I'm okay venting. I'm in.
I'll sit with you.
Okay.
Great.
I'll be
Wendy, you're 100% right. These people have no damn life, and whenever I put a show on, they'll tune in. Okay, we will see you next Wednesday. And William Santos, God bless you. It's a pleasure to hear from you in whatever language you're speaking. We love all you guys. I promise we'll come up with a great topic next week, and cannot thank you all enough for your time, your energy, and just everybody stay healthy and have a great week.
Thank you, everyone. Have a
Thank
great
you,
evening.
buddy.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, everybody.